This is GoodGirlRadio.com.
Are you back listening to GoodGirlRadio.com? It is Tuesday, and actually this weekend, Valentine's Day just passed. So I hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day. And again, you can always catch us right here on GoodGirlRadio.com, on iTunes, or on Stitcher. And be sure to follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we are on Instagram as well. Good Girl Radio, spelled all the same. And today is a continuation of Monday's show about, are you robbing your husband or your man of really being who he wants to be or who he's called to be in the relationship. And for that, we have Dr. Holland. He is a pastor of Epicenter Worship, and he's also the president of I Am E2E. And it's an organization that really equips people to move to the next level. And I can even hear and see a part of that equipping happening right now. We were specifically talking about a status you had on Facebook that really generated a lot of comments. And even now, you just told me you went back and you just liked it. And because it was from a year ago,
yeah.
You liked it or you made a comment about it. And people are beginning to comment on it again.
Yeah.
And in this segment, we really wanted to talk about what are men thinking when they are afraid to be open and to be honest with their wife.
Well, Kimmy, I really appreciate you inviting me to be back on your show. It's always exciting to be here. And I want to go deep in this conversation, but I know that I don't want our women to feel like any of my comments are blaming them or they're the root of the problem. Not at all. And I understand that many of our young ladies and our women are in some abusive relationships, but and I don't want my comments to attribute to some of those actions. But this is just a deep conversation because men are thinking a lot of things, and I think it's helpful for our ladies to hear it. And one of the things that men are thinking is, I don't want what I'm getting ready to say to you to awaken the girl in you. What I need is the woman in you to respond versus the girl in you.
What's the difference? How does the girl respond?
We all have, I have a boy in me and I've got a man in me. And the girl oftentimes responds in a very immature way and filters what I'm saying against her own security. So I'm unpacking my heart, but how you're responding to what I'm saying, you're now questioning your own security, your own safety in the relationship. And now I've got to hear, I told you so. I don't know why you did that. So now the man says, I'm not going to share what I'm thinking because it's going to awaken the girl in you. I need the woman in you. I need that woman that has confidence, that can stand with me and affirm, our destiny and the purpose for which we got together. I don't need you to panic right now. Does that make sense?
It does. I think, though, then I would say what would be the proper response? Because I get that I told you so, but the goal is, I believe, for the woman's perspective, to do what she can and with the tools she has to move her man forward, to move, the union together forward. And when, I'm just using this as an example, but when something gets suggested, how about you do, how about you put a little money to the side? How about you talk to this person? How about you go there? And those suggestions, and understanding they are suggestions. He is not your child, so he doesn't have to do it.
Right.
But when those suggestions aren't taken into account, what is the proper response?
I don't know if the suggestions are working. I think what a man really wants is just to know that you're there. And you can't raise a man after you've married a boy. You have to allow him to be a man, which means, and that's a very precarious position for a lot of women, but men have to make mistakes. Men have to fail sometimes. And I don't need you to bail me out. I need you to just hang tight for a little while, do your prayer thing, do your confidence thing, whatever you need to do, but I don't need you to show me the way out. That's what my mother did. I need a woman. I need my lover. What I need from you right now is to sit on my lap and hug me and let's just be together. Because if I'm a man, I'm going to develop a plan. I just need to know that if I've lost my job or I'm going through something financial, that I'm not losing you in the process. You understand what I'm saying?
It makes sense. And it brings to mind, too, a couple of examples. So what happens then in the case where the decisions that are being made or whatever it may be, is literally hurting that person, or it's hurting the relationship. How do you then respond? Because um, just as much as the man wants to be a man and he needs the woman to rise up, are you then suggesting that it is my job as a woman to just simply allow him? Like, I'm just kind of taking hands off.
No, what I'm saying is that there's a process by which you influence people. And men oftentimes need just to know that you're with them. And if you can sell that idea, then the door is open to his heart for you to tread lightly and to have a different kind of discussion, if that makes sense. Sometimes we just burst right in and we want to, well, let's do this, let's go. No, sometimes we just need to sit and let's just love on each other. Let's talk about something else. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And get into his heart through other means, the same way you did when we was dating. You know what I mean? You cooked me an apple pie, you fries and chicken, whatever you did. You know what I mean? You were sweet. You know what I'm saying? You didn't just run up in my heart. You treaded lightly, into the intimate areas of my heart, and you stewarded those, and I trusted you. And it's the same way even after we get married. Just be gentle. The same thing that you expect from a man when you've made wrong decisions, men want the same thing from the lady.
But women don't make wrong decisions.
Really? That's what we're thinking. You guys don't make. If I would have listened to my wife, we wouldn't be in this situation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so again, women need to realize that there's an element of guilt to that, men. Because they know they should have listened and they didn't, and now look what I've done, and I need to fix it. So there's a little ego that's hurt there too. But you can also manage that with gentle love and words of affirmation about who that man is, that what just happened does not impact how I see you as a man.
What happens when it does?
Then you got to go back to your God, because we all make mistakes, and love covers all of that. Love is triumphs, you know what I mean? So, you've got to look inside and find out, what's broken inside of you, that when something outside of the relationship comes in, it affects the way you see me at the core. Mm-hmm. That's a big issue.
Mm-hmm. That's more so fracturing in the actual relationship, and also in that person, the soul of that person.
Absolutely.
What were some of the maybe the text or the phone calls or even the private messages? I mean, can you talk about any of that in terms of how men were feeling when you posted this?
Men were often feeling like they weren't getting the truth from the lady that they're dating. Mm-hmm. The reason why they don't commit sometimes is because they don't feel like they're getting the truth. Women have up walls, and men have to prove themselves, and so sometimes they feel that apprehension. And so they're not quick to commit because they don't feel like you're being authentic with them, or you're afraid of being hurt. If you're afraid of being hurt, then it's invariable you're gonna get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, love is a risk. That there's a high chance that you might get your feelings hurt. Something may happen that's not comfortable. But in a love relationship, that's the risk that you take. And oftentimes, women are giving off a vibe that they've been hurt before, and so men are like, you know what? I don't have time for that. I ain't trying to hurt her. So you know what? I'm just gonna stay over here, and we're gonna have this kind of relationship. But she wants more, and he wants more, but he doesn't want to hurt her. So sometimes he doesn't have the skill to move forward and overcome, the elephant in the room, so to speak, the past relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
And so I'm glad you said that, because it kind of leads me to my next question in terms of in any situation, in any problem, in any solution, there are always several sides to the story, and everyone must take an account, for their actions and take some type of responsibility. So even in this space, when men don't feel comfortable, sharing their full selves, their authentic selves, their emotional side, their spiritual side, their doubts, their fears, in what space or how do they begin to take responsibility for that?
You mean the men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men have to. What we've noticed was that men suffer from just a love from God, knowing that I am loved by God, and I can open up to my Heavenly Father, that some things I don't need to unpack on everybody or my lady. Some things I need to take upstairs. I need to take it up to the Father. And when that relationship is broken, men have a hard time, being accountable for how they feel. And so, I've encouraged our men to, in very small ways, just begin to talk, to God on a daily basis as they're driving to work or as they're getting ready for work or whatever. Just ask him, how should I do this? How do I go about this? You know what I mean? To develop that relationship with their Heavenly Father. And that will help them be more accountable with their emotions.
Mm-hmm. And I know the last or the larger piece of it is understanding the reciprocal effect that this has. So you're in a marriage and you may have a mentee, or you just may have someone, a younger person that you're hanging out with, and you don't speak about it. You talked about this in the first segment about how, the issues within your marriage affects, in a sense, the next generation, or affects the next brother sitting over who wants to commit, but you're really not talking about it.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that is interesting that you brought up was married men are not jumping and screaming about their marriage. So single men are looking at married men saying, well, if the married men are looking humdrum, then I'm not going to commit. It has nothing to do with the woman, but it's the imaging. You know what I mean? And so, one of the other things that men said to me is that whenever men try to unpack how they feel, women flip the issue and again make it about them. Mm-hmm. And so no man wants to come in and to be reminded that he's a failure. And I have to remind women that our culture and our world reminds men every day that they're dogs, they're uncommitted, they're unfaithful, right? They're cheaters, they're this. We hear those messages constantly. So I don't need to hear that when I come home. I need to hear an entirely different message that will build me and take me forward and to be a better husband, a better boyfriend, and a better father, et cetera, et cetera.
And so, Dr. Holland, I'm excited about this conversation and where it could possibly go, because a lot of the things that you're saying, I think, hits home with women as well in terms of being comfortable and being able to really open up their hearts and their minds. And again, being that emotionally naked in relationship to your husband, or even before you get to the marriage, and having those walls up based on your previous experiences. So I look forward to more conversations about this, and also, just hearing the woman's side. So
that would be great.
So thank you so very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, this is goodgirlradio.com. That was good.
Wow.
Right here is Good Girl Radio.
This is goodgirlradio.com.